I grew up on a farm. And when I was about 12 or 13 years old, my dad bought a new farm truck. Well, it was new to us. It was a manual transmission. My dad wanted me to learn how to drive a manual. So he said, "Son, take the truck from this point in the yard and drive it over to this other point in the yard," that he told me to. And I simply asked him, "Okay, Dad, what am I supposed to do?" And he looked at me and said, "Figure it out." Over the next about 3, 4, 5 hours, who knows how long it was, I was able to move that truck about a total of 100 yards. But by the time I reached my destination, I knew I had learned how to drive a manual. Now, it would take years of practice to get better at it, but it was in the process of going from point A to point B that I truly learned how to drive. Our passage for today is very similar. We will be looking at how the process produces the change that God wants to see in our life. And at the center of the process is faith, acting on the facts of who God is. In Luke 17:11-19, we read about 10 lepers that call out to Jesus and ask him to heal them. Jesus tells them, though, something interesting to do. He doesn't just say, "You're healed." He doesn't go over and touch them, but he says in verse 14, he says, "Go show yourselves to the priest." Now, these men hadn't been healed yet. During this time, if you were healed, you would go show yourself to the priest to prove that you were healed. But they hadn't been healed yet. But Jesus told them to go. Then it says, and as they went in faith, they acted on the facts of what Jesus said, they were cleansed. They were cleansed in the process of faith. Eventually, one man comes back. Without the direction of Jesus, he simply comes back, throws himself at Jesus' feet, and thanks him for what he's done, what Jesus has done for him. Then Jesus says this in verse 19. Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." It was the faith not only to go and be healed in the process of going to the priest, it was the faith to come back and thank Jesus for what he had done. Many times we want Jesus to produce a change in our life instantly. But the primary way that he might want to produce the change in your life is taking you through a process. Which brings us to our question for today. Am I doing what God is asking me to do? You're calling out for change, but you're not acting in faith. Or you've started acting in faith and the change didn't come immediately. Keep acting in faith, and in his time, in his process, the change will occur. The best thing we can do when we are trying to live in faith is to take the next step that God is putting in front of us. Never forget, you are loved to love others. I'll see you tomorrow.